This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
All right, we're going to start the meeting of the PPP, 6 p.m. September 21st. All 5 committee members are present, and the meeting is being recorded. We're going to go a little out of order, and we'll start with the first seat up, happens to be the Board of Health. We'll just work our way across the row. So first thing up is personal, I assume it's the personal change form, Board of Health PCF for Geraldine Swanson, account charge change. So we can take a second, find it in our packets. And I believe this is to alter 3 hours per week to be charged against an internal fund or the, do you want to speak to this?
To the septic betterment interest that we're allowed to use for the administration of the program. We've used it before.
Okay.
And the 3 hours was not approved for this last fiscal year in the budget. And we applied for 3 hours with ARPA money, but I think the board decided not to do it at this point. So this is an alternative.
Okay. So 32 of the 35 hours would be funded by the general fund.
Correct.
And then 3 of the 35 would be funded through this betterment fund, which I believe at last count had about $58,000?
53.
$53,000 in reserves. Questions for the board or by the board?
Isn't that some of that money supposed to be reloaned?
It does get reloaned. It doesn't all have to be reloaned.
But it's available to be reloaned.
Yes, and we have reloaned it recently. We have to reauthorize the 200,000 at the special town meeting coming up in maybe October. Well, I think it's probably going to be November now. It has to be reauthorized annually.
And this the 53,000 was created through interest and earnings on the initial amount?
Yes.
Right, so it's above and beyond the 200,000 or whatever number was originally authorized.
Why would you have to reauthorize it annually when it's...
Because the trust requires it. You can...
Yeah, I mean, that's strange, because you're only borrowing it once, and you can pay it back over so many years, so... I mean, there were 3 rounds when I was here that were borrowed at 200,000.
Well, I know, that was a while ago, though.
You borrow 200,000, then you draw down 50,000, draw down another 50,000.
That'd be reauthorized annually, is what it says in the statute, so.
Okay. The form does have the appropriate signatures.
Motion to approve?
There's a motion to approve by Robin. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by David. No, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too, Jerry.
Hi, Jerry.
Bye.
Okay, next we're going to take up the water department. Tim, do you want to go just in order of what's here? First one I have is retirement.
Yeah, Joe's going to speak to it.
Go ahead, Joe.
Would you like this chair, Joe?
No.
Okay, as a formality.
I can swap you. Oh, great. What do you want to do first? Don's retirement?
Whatever you'd like. What do you got on top there?
Why don't we start with that?
Okay. So, just have to find it in the packet here.
What happens if we deny it?
I know. You know what?
He's already
ain't gonna
gone.
get him back, he's gone.
If you can keep paying him.
He's not coming back. There it is.
Okay. We have a PCF for Thomas Gong, retirement effective September 7th, 2023. Last day worked Last day on payroll was 9/9/23. Any discussion? If not, is there a motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
Motion by Donna, seconded by Jennifer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Okay.
Next.
The next one is the new hire to replace him with a start date of 10/15,
Okay.
which would be Brett Simmons.
So we have a PCF from the Water Department for Brett Simmons, effective 10/15/23, full-time benefited position, Water Department, replacing Thomas, 40 hours per week, Water Superintendent, employment agreement, and it's listing the annual salary at $91,000. Attached is also the proposed employment agreement.
Yeah.
And just for public record or for the newer members of the committee, so employment agreements can be awarded by statute. This one is not a statute, so it can't be a 3 or 5 year, but it could be, I think the intent here is a 3 year.
3 year.
So DOR would look at it as 3 individual 1 years all approved at the same time, stacked up against each other. But because it's a non-statute, it requires select board approval or ratification. And then in general, nothing in here should be outside of wages. Benefit-wise, should be greater than or less than what is available to any other non-bargaining employee in the town. Does that make sense? So, I don't see, maybe I'm missing it, but I didn't see anything that talked about time off. I see the vehicle, hours of work,
Article 6, Section 3.
6.
Yes.
It's in the compensation.
All right, so entitled to 15 days vacation, 5 days sick time, 3 personal days.
Right.
For the first year.
Yep, entitled to 20 days vacation, 5 days sick time, 3 days per personal time.
Right.
Okay. So is there any discussion on that?
Well, isn't that more than what is,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
it's more.
I don't have it memorized,
So
but-
normally it's
Well,
5
he's
or
coming
6.
from another municipality. We're fortunate that we got a qualified person
Yep.
that meets all the demand. And not only that, but he is also a Southampton resident, which makes it a lot easier for us too. And that's the paid vacation time that he had. Now, we did the same thing for Dennis and we did the same thing for Tom Gons because they both came from other municipal water departments. So there's a precedent that has been set by this department.
By the Water Department?
Yes.
Yep, yep.
And it's, you know, we ain't talking a whole lot of time here.
In the select board because they had signed off on Tom's agreement.
Yeah, discussion? Done? Everyone satisfied with it? Good? Or, whoops,
No, it's fine.
okay.
Joe, you
I mean,
Joe,
Motion.
Joe. This is next.
Oh, Dennis.
The only thing that hangs me up is that by law,
Right,
they're not supposed to do it. I understand
the logic.
the logic, and I understand when you move from one municipality to another, especially, like, I did the same thing and didn't want to start as a new employee. You know, like, I get that. I guess are there legal ramifications?
So the issue is the 15 days, right? Because a new employee, right, I mean, although
They
we're...
would start with 5 sick days, 2 personal days, according to the personnel
Yep.
manual, and then they would earn vacation time as they went. So they wouldn't really start with any.
But we're talking
What-
about changing that too.
Right,
so-
but at what point, how many years of service with Southampton before you got to 3 vacation weeks?
5 weeks, I think.
5, 8,
I mean,
Vacation weeks,
5 years.
yeah.
5 years.
3 weeks
And he
and 5
has more than
years.
5 years of...
Do you have more than 5 with Hoyok Waterworks?
No, not from time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who are you talking to, Ken?
No, Brad.
Brett is here.
Oh. Huh?
Your new employee.
Oh,
But he,
Yeah.
not me.
yeah, because he has more than 5 years already of municipal water experience.
Do you?
Question was 5 weeks vacation, not 5.
Well, if you, yeah, but if you were here to get 3 weeks, in order to get 3 weeks vacation in town and you're a brand new employee, you'd have to be an employee of the town for 5 years. Prior to today, do you have 5 years of municipal employment?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought you were asking 5 weeks vacation.
Oh, no,
No, no.
Not the days, yes, I
Okay.
have
And is it all with the Hoyok Waterworks?
Yes.
And similar, okay. So if, it doesn't sound like there's pushback on anything other than understanding the reason and logic that you're
Yeah.
applying here, that perhaps we craft our motion, that we approve it. We note that number 3, Article 6, number 3, is in contrary to our rules, and we default to Select Board if they want to approve it. We don't have an objection to it, we just note that that's outside the regulations.
That's
Okay.
fine.
And that way it's on the record to avoid precedents later on.
Okay, I motion to approve.
Second.
All right, so there's a motion to approve the employment agreement dated 10/15/23 for Brett Simmons with a note that Article 6, number 3 is outside the standard norms and we defer to the Select Board, but we note that we have no objection with it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. So then next, for the Water Department is a PCF for Dennis Senical. And this is a temporary interim, not to exceed 12 weeks position, out of grade pay during the transition between Tom's departure of 9/7 and presumably Brett's start of October 15th, right? And that during that period of time, he'd be compensated at a rate of $38.35 per hour instead of his current $30.39 per hour. Discussion?
There's another PCF for Dennis in the back, so this is for field supervisor. So
Do we want to take them one at a time?
which one are they putting through?
I think
it's
because
run out.
there's 2 positions, we need to agree upon a position.
Yeah, I think it would be much easier if we just moved him, just did the one, to move him from a technician to a supervisor.
Right, but we can't do that because the job hasn't been scored yet or graded or authorized to be.
exist.
Right, it doesn't exist at the moment. It's in the wings pending the Collins review.
What we're doing here, and I don't know if you realize it, but we're under the gun from EPA rules and regulations, plus the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection Water Supply Program, to have these licensed type people in our employment. One of the hardest things that all water departments are having right now is to be able to maintain this standard of licensed, responsible employees. So everybody is bidding to get decent employees. We do not want to put this system at jeopardy, and we would like to move Dennis, who is working way beyond the technician's job classification, even when Tom was here, to the field supervisor's position. And it's in the budget. We have put it in the budget for the last 2 or 3 years. And it's very well detailed out. And it's not that we don't have the funds to do it. It's just a political thing that we're talking about here.
Well, I don't know that it's political, I think it's process. We just can't
What's the
randomly create.
difference?
Because right now, you're just randomly creating a job that hasn't been bid or anything, and you're awarding it to an employee without anybody else having an opportunity to come forward. and you're giving them over an $8 an hour raise,
Like, there's, yeah.
you know, which comes out to what? A $16,000 increase
Yeah.
with no public view of it. It's all being happening behind the scenes, which isn't transparent. And then on top of it, you guys just put through a 9% increase to the ratepayers. And you borrowed money from the town when your funds are supposed to pay for the upkeep of the,
When do we borrow money from the town?
didn't you take $160,000 in ARPA funds because you didn't have enough to do the water project? And isn't the rate that you collect from the water supposed to support the entire system?
Hey, Secretary, did we do that?
I don't know.
Well, the increase was 6%, but they are anticipating another 6%
No, you're right, it's not a lot, it's like a grant. Yeah.
From what I was told, they're anticipating another.
Yeah.
Entity in town.
Because you didn't have the funds, it's a one-time project, and it was legit to go through, but then on top of it, you throw a 9% increase, and now you're creating another job, giving a $16,000 raise without a single day of posting. Not that there's necessarily anybody else that's qualified to print for it, but you're not going through the process. I mean, it's
You would
like,
have to post it.
it's like
Even if it did exist, you would have to post it.
correct, it's just
At
like.
least
if-
internally.
Give you a
Yeah,
similar
something.
scenario, if Chief Illingsworth decided, I want a police captain, he can't just all of a sudden do it and promote the lieutenant. He's got to go through the whole process, and that's what we're waiting on.
So I understand your point, but I know we came back here, had a similar conversation, I think, back in the spring.
Right.
And I think at the time, I think you said, well, the compensation study was being done by the Collins Center.
Correct.
And we thought that would be done by August, but it's delayed. I know we're a little late. You know, Dennis just submitted his, his questionnaire responses for the position. So, I mean, do we have any insight in terms of when this compensation study is going to be done?
Edward?
Supposed to be completed before the end of this calendar year.
Because we thought August, but.
Well, that's...
Right, but then
that's much-
the other thing is, nothing's preventing you from leaving Dennis in his current job and doing a payroll adjustment.
Okay.
Right, but and that's what we talked about last time you guys were here. You can have, what is Dennis's current spot? Water tech.
Water tech.
You can have multiple water techs at different pay rates.
Right.
But the other issue is, how do you get a supervisor there's nobody to supervise?
So I guess our options are, well, we have a job posted for the technician, so I guess our options are, we could go forward with the other PCF that we mentioned, like the temporary superintendent,
Right.
or I guess keep him as a technician, but apply for the same pay. Right?
Yeah, I think there's two different things. One is you're trying to compensate him for the work that he's doing between Tom's departure and Brett's arrival.
That's part of it.
No, that's step one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm not sensing that you're going to get an argument here on that issue.
Yeah.
The other issue that you're trying to do is make that pay permanent by making him the water supervisor, and that's
Right up in-
where the rub is coming. Because
Yeah.
technically, the job doesn't exist.
But is the salary, is the range?
We have one for 38, 35.
If he was, and while we wait for months and months for this Collins report
And then
until the
that
job
way, at
can be
least we'll keep
posted,
him.
could
Keep them interested.
could he get an increase, like a merit
can we
kind
do
of an
that?
increase, or because he's doing extra
see
work?
why
Could
not.
that be a permanent thing,
I don't-
even if he's still
I
called
don't
a
think
water
it's gonna be going
technician?
down.
But then, if the field supervisor is posted, he would have to kind of know that he's not going to get another, like, $8 bump in pay for that. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know
Like,
what you're
in
saying,
order
yeah.
to give it to him?
No, because I understand what you're saying, and you're right on that point. So, why don't we just, in order to not lose any more employees, why can't we just move him and we'll take the field supervisor totally out of the picture and just have two technicians? Which is already an approved position. We'll eliminate a supervisor's position in its entirety
Right, so...
and have two technicians.
So I don't know the answer to this, which is why I'm asking the question. The grade and step that he's on right now, is there room to go up to that, or is he already
For right
topped
now,
out?
I
believe
think he's
it's
already
the top.
topped out, but I'm trying to find it.
Yeah. We'd be able to,
It tops out at 3083.
That's where
He's at the
now.
top.
Well, I guess for today.
I mean, I honestly, myself, don't agree with the grade he's in. He's in the same grade as the children's librarian, the administrative assistant to the town administrator, the assistant treasurer collector. I feel like his grade, it should be higher than, right? Like, do you think that, I don't think.
Right, but to cherry pick him out.
I know, you
and
can't
not
do
move
it.
it with
I know.
everybody else
I know.
because issue, and we're talking about a 24.6% increase in pay.
So yeah, right now the top of is 3083, so.
Well, for
The
today,
grade
can we
he's at.
vote on the temporary increase and while we figure out what
What to
can...
do? Why don't we do that then?
Yeah.
How can we
As
increase
an
him
interim.
above? Oh, as the interim,
All
yeah.
right, so it's the PCF for the interim position at a pay rate of $38.35 for the period of September 10th to October 15th, which would be when Brett starts.
Yeah.
So during that period of time, he would be,
And-
was your only person, right?
Yeah, he's the only person, yeah.
So that's issue number one. Is there a second on that?
Second.
So I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Seconded by Donna. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so issue number two is what are you guys gonna do going forward?
Yeah. I mean, is it realistic to expect that, you know, we could find a way to get him a bump in pay by October 15th? You know, in his current position.
I mean, unless we decide to try to score that position and it was posted, but it can't be posted until it's scored.
Right.
I mean, now, we were holding off till August, and now it could be December, and who knows, maybe then it will be April.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, at this point, as of the report last week, I think over 60% of the results had all come back, because that's the next step. They did their report, they held the townwide meeting with department heads, and I think at the last report, what, eight department heads had already responded with everything they needed to, and we're just waiting on the last ones, which
Yeah.
his might have been one if he just did his.
Yeah, they've already got 95% of the financial information that they have to, shall we say, pull out of our surrounding communities.
Right. So I don't know that we can get it by the 15th, but what we can do is this committee can ask through whether it's the select board or to the town administrator directly, to see if by next Tuesday when the select board meets, because this is when this would come up again, if they're, just to reach out to Collins, you know, is there a way you can get the water department piece done before you complete everything else so that we can move forward on that particular issue? Or we can ask the question.
No, that's fair enough.
So that would take place on Tuesday then? I mean,
Yeah, to the 26th.
Yeah.
Should we go to the select board meeting on Tuesday and advocate
Well,
for this, or?
I really think it's in the hands of the Collins. Now, have you guys, who scored Tom's? Who wrote up Tom's narrative?
Well, no, so no one did, right?
Yeah.
So there's, Dennis submitted his questionnaire response.
For the water tech?
Well, yeah, it's actually the water supervisor, because he felt like that was the job he was doing, so that was the one he filled out. So his answers are what he does, right?
So between now and the 15th, he's technically the interim superintendent, right? So could he take his, remove what the water tech would do, that wouldn't be the supervisor, get that one in, and then get the super... Because the only way they can move forward with the water department is if all three pieces are back to the Collins.
What I tried to do as an alternative was I took, you know, we have, you know, agreed upon job descriptions, so I created a spreadsheet where someone could compare, you know, column A is superintendent, column B is supervisor, column C is technician, you know, the same, you know, attribute, row by row, and then somebody could look at it and see, you know, it's not in the same, you know, questionnaire format.
Yeah.
But it would be, I thought that might be an alternative.
Have you shared that with Collins or through Ed?
No, through Ed. Ed has it. I don't know.
Okay.
But we couldn't, you know, and Ed had asked me, hey, you know, water commissioners, fill out these other two questionnaires, and, you know, the questionnaires, you know, explicitly says, you know, to be filled out by the employee. I mean, I couldn't, maybe Joe could do it, but Joe used to work the position, but you know, I don't feel like I could do it. I mean, I could take the words and kind of fill it in, I guess, if we think that would be helpful, I would do that.
We can do that at our Thursday night. No,
Yeah, maybe if you guys do it as a commission.
You know, I don't know, Joe, what you think of that idea? If you, think with Dennis Rowe, and we'll just do a Delta, we'll do a Delta questionnaire for the superintendent, and another Delta questionnaire for the technician.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, if we think that would be helpful to expedite all this, then.
I think so. If we're going to ask them to carve out the wire department, see if they can get that one done first, they're going to need all the pieces in order to do it.
And the only reason that we're pushing it is because it is required under the Department of Environmental Protection rules and regulations that we have 3 licensed operators on board. Because you always have to have 2 people ready. And the other thing too is we have 1 employee that's out there all by himself working. That's very unsafe.
Yep.
And as Mr. Kent here knows, when you're working on the road, you're a target for every passenger car, truck, motorcycle, or whatever goes by you. And when we're trying to flush the hydrants and stuff like that, that's a very dangerous situation for him to be doing by himself. So, that DEP requires that we have 3 licensed staff on this department. Okay?
No, not always.
There was a sanitary survey from, I think, I want to say 2021, I think.
Right. I mean, yes. I'm not telling you guys how to run your department because you're the commissioners, but I mean, you do have Randall holds almost all the licenses, so you could have an interdepartmental agreement through emergencies and vacations where, you know, you're at least showing the Mass DEP that you're attempting to meet that standard while you look for somebody. So.
Can you do that? I think you have to prove that they work 40 hours, right? I believe from the paperwork I saw last week.
The study says the town has to have 3 people. It doesn't say the water department and it's the same. I think you can make an argument that you're attempting, because you're posting the job, you're looking for somebody, but in the interim, you've got a crutch. It's better than nothing, but.
The actual, what the department says for a licensed operator, you'll have a licensed operator for 8 hours each day, 7 hours for distribution and 1 hour for treatment.
They wanted to know a breakdown of the hours of who is where and when.
And that's how it works.
Yeah.
So, and why you have to have the 3rd person in there is to cover, and this has happened to us here already, where both licensed operators were out of town.
Yeah.
At the same time. So we had absolutely no coverage whatsoever to maintain any type of a deficiency or answer any of the alarms.
Okay. So as far as the second one, we're just going to sit on it. We're going to hold it.
Yeah.
Right? And then we'll make that inquiry and see if we can get an update for Tuesday night's select board meeting.
So he's going to have, you're approving
The temporary pay change between when Tom left and until Brett comes out on October 15th.
Okay.
That's been approved. And then, what happens at the select board meeting on Tuesday?
They have to-
We'll give, well, the select board has to approve it too.
first.
But we're moving it forward. In addition to that, we will look to have we're going to put an ask in to Collins to see if they can carve out the wire department and get that back.
Right.
And it should be a yes or no answer,
Right.
which will then tell you whether or not we're on track for October 15th or not.
Right, and then if they need anything else, so you're asking us to submit those other 2 questionnaires?
I would, yes.
Yeah, I just don't know that we're,
I can't come Tuesday.
yeah. So-
No, you don't need to be there Tuesday.
But I'm just saying if we, so we're gonna meet as a board on Wednesday, right? So I mean, I just can't do it without, the board agreeing, right? So,
No, I mean, if I was you guys, I would, as a board, I would fill it out, and then I would put a little cover letter on it saying that the board, because there's nobody in these positions right now, did this to the best of their ability, and Because if I understand the process, they're gonna take that and compare it to other communities that have similar positions and do the side-by-side comparisons.
Yeah.
To say, hypothetically, of the 12 things that Southampton requires, East Hampton requires 16. So the East Hampton wage should be a little bit higher because there's 4 more things in there, or whatever the case is gonna be.
Yeah, okay.
But it gives us a starting point.
Yeah, I guess too, when they make their recommendations, I mean, is there any, can
Yeah, it's gonna come back and there'll be a public, I mean, it'll come back to this committee to determine whether or not we're gonna enact it, and then ultimately the select board has to approve it. And the theory is, why we're saying, well, December is, we want it in the budget cycle, whatever's going to be there.
But I mean, the department's going to be able to challenge the results. I mean, they always have, you know,
I would
comment on the results, right?
I would think so,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. All right, thank you.
Is that good? Okay.
Thank you for taking it, so.
All right.
Okay?
All right, let's just keep going down the list. Fire Department, PCF for Richard Fasoli to extend the interim fire chief
Nice.
position.
I motion to approve the extension.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Library, PRF for library substitute as needed, $15.71 per hour as needed. Last approved was August 21st, 2018 at $11 per hour. Hours may vary. So is this just an adjustment in the wages?
Pretty much.
No,
yes.
it's not.
No? Okay.
It would be for another person to be on call. I have 4 substitutes at the library, and one of them is about to have cataract surgery, and then she is having her hips replaced, and so it's really, especially during the winter and COVID, I think we need to have another person on deck.
So you currently have 4,
Yes,
and are all 4 of them being paid
the same rate.
$15.71
Yes.
per hour?
Yes.
So you're looking to add a 5th
Correct.
to it, using the same job posting and that was used to bring on those other 4? Okay.
Yes.
Any discussion or questions? No?
Nope. Motion to approve?
There's a motion to approve by Robin. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Donna. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Passes.
Thank you very much. I have to get back
Thank
to
you.
the library.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Great.
Veterans Department, PCF for Jerry Paquette, resignation as Veteran Service Officer effective
9/14/2023.
9/14/2023.
Not coming back. Motion to approve?
Second. Motion made by Robin, seconded by David. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Next, we have a PCF for Michelle Murdoch, extension of temporary veteran service officer through October 21st, 2023. And that's effective October 1st. So the current extension runs out October 1st. So this would extend it out to the 21st.
Should be the 31st.
31st.
Figures in the staff typing. My apologies.
Okay.
That's coverage until you post. Okay, the next one is approved.
Yep.
Okay, motion to approve the extension?
There's a motion to approve, seconded by Jennifer. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Next is a PRF, and this is to post the position of Veteran Service Officer formerly held by Jerry Paquette, to replace him with a requested start date of November 1st. Pay is $341.10 bi-weekly, cumulative $9,234.92. Bradley has signed off on it. The town administrator has initiated this. And the funding source is, it's a revolving fund.
No, it should be the general fund.
It's general
Yeah.
fund.
It's just that I hate the fact that I would actually have to print that and then circle one of them, so it's like, where do I put the?
But the instructions say circle 1.
Yeah.
So do we want to return this to the town administrator to be filled out
circle?
correctly?
Motion to approve.
But see, you can see how the mistake can happen. There's a motion made by Robin, seconded by Jennifer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
In my spare time, look for my updates to that one. But I will say Robin did a marvelous job with the update.
Are you anticipating that Michelle's going to apply for the position?
Yes, I can say that she is interested.
Next, we have Council on Aging. The PCF for Pamela Conant, Program Coordinator, 14 hours a week, grade 2, step 9, $19.90 per hour. PRF approved had a range of $17 to $20 per hour. Proposed, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's just an odd
Yep.
spot.
The position was budgeted at $18 an hour. I know they have extra funds.
Is that why it's coming,
Because
there's
it
a
was
second
vacant?
line with the state formula grant? Has $5,100 coming out of the state formula?
Yeah, there were two, I think I have a copy of it. Yes, it is correct.
Okay.
But I can correct it.
So the question is that the budget is, out of the general fund is $18 per hour, and it looks like the difference is going to be coming out of the state formula?
No, I mean, when I sat with Bradley for a 12-month period, we had, because I think the previous program coordinator said 1927 for this year, so there was enough in the 12-month budget for that line, so I'm not sure where the discrepancy is there, because we sat with Bradley to go over.
Are you sure the previous?
So it was vacant, so it should be enough.
It shouldn't be $18 for the budget, for the general fund.
Did the job go open for a period of time during this budget cycle?
No, it opened at the end of June.
Okay.
So, and she was going to be paid 1927, so it was budgeted, and according to Bradley, there was enough in the general fund to supply 64, I guess it's
Right.
4% from mine and 36% from the...
Right, which is what Bradley signed off on.
Yeah, yeah. And he worked the numbers.
So 64% of this comp is going to come out of the general fund?
Correct.
And 36 is going to come out of the state formula grant?
Correct.
Okay. Discussion?
Motion to approve?
Motion by Donna. Is there a second? No second? Motion fails for lack of a second. What's the committee want to do?
So,
To question the pay rate of 1990, step 9.
yeah, I mean, I do believe that the prior person was making 18. I don't think it was really 1929. Not saying it's not in their budget, because they can use the
I think she was
formula
saying that
grant.
maybe that was what the rate was going to be this year, this fiscal year, but she left before the fiscal year started.
So, okay, so do we have the current pay range for grade 2? Steps 1 through whatever?
Yep.
Is step 9?
1571, step 9 is 1990.
Okay.
There's
So
no-
this is a new hire, so if we should be able to find, is,
9 years.
could the chair of the Council on Aging explain the justification from going from a year 1 to a year 9?
Yeah, I think, again, I wasn't part of the interview process, other members supported Christina, this was their recommendation. She has decades of professional business experience, she has a bachelor's degree in business administration. She's been volunteering here since June and is a very good fit. And I think when the Collins does the new study, a program coordinator will not be a grade 2 at all.
Okay.
If I look at Hatfield, who just hired somebody for $20 an hour, so half the community, half our size.
And that's-
You're right,
and
but,
that's probably true, but we can
but
say
the
that for all
but the policy
departments.
says is step, and I'm not disagreeing with the resume, but the standard we apply is a brand-new employee, so therefore they're on step one, unless the resume justifies the step on where they're going. So the bachelor's would get you 4 years right off the bat. Again, assuming the job posting said you only need a high school diploma. So if you have the bachelor's, you get
It
plus
says
4.
associates, so.
All right, so you get a plus 2. And then the committee that's putting this forward is saying there's an additional 7 years worth of experience of something of a similar nature under work experience. I mean, she does have over 20 years of work experience, so I guess where... Does anybody find fault with the step 9, or have a different recommendation, or?
I think we need to pay for the value of the position too. This position is basically responsible for the development, implementation, promotion, and management of programs in the senior center. I mean, I'm working in conjunction with the director. Again, I think it's, when the Collins study comes out, you see a different level of grade.
I mean, I guess for me, it's...
And I would ask how the successor got to 1927 and how we got.
I don't think she was at that
Less
18.
experience.
She was at
Much less
18.
experience.
I would prefer not to
think
look
she-
back in history
I
right
think
now.
the successor was at 18. I guess for me, I just look at other departments that also have qualified employees that the position might even be more technical, that have been here and have, 10 plus years of municipal experience. For instance, our administrative assessor, and they're still, well below that. So I guess I feel like we should just be consistent with what we
She's not an
do.
administrative assistant either, so. And
But the
I'm not
position
saying
that
they're not
person's
underpaid.
doing-
I think the rest of the people are underpaid, so let's
Right.
not continue to make the same errors if we have an opportunity to correct things along the way.
But we're only able to correct for one department because they happen to have grant money. And everyone else needs to wait for the Collins Center to be done.
But that
So-
other person, from my understanding, was at 1927, I thought, my understanding.
I would, I
I
don't
could
know.
be wrong, Jen, I'm not saying.
Yeah.
I believe it was 18.
All right, so process is that we can certainly do nothing on this. We can...
So we'll
we could-
lose her,
could-
just so you know. If we
we-
do nothing, she's waiting, she's been waiting. She applied back in June, the transition of
Right.
directors.
But for-
She's been patiently awaiting, she's interviewing other places.
Right.
So, I mean, if that's the risk you want to take, that's,
Okay, duly noted. But we have 3 options. We can lay this on the table and do nothing. We can amend it, or we can pass it as is. We can amend it and pass it, or we can deny it based on its application. That we don't feel that it should be a step 9 under the current practices that we've been applying.
Well, what does
Any-
everyone else think?
Well, hold on.
Okay.
Laying it on the table keeps it here in the committee. Anything else we do, whether we approve it or deny it, moves it forward to the select board.
Right.
So, and then it's up, if we approve it and it goes one way. If we deny it, it gets explained why it was denied, and then the select board can either uphold our denial or they can override us.
Right.
So my thing with keeping the water department in the committee is because the job, regardless of the current employee they're trying to shift in there, is we've been clear, the job doesn't exist, we're gonna follow this process and go through. I don't necessarily think we should just kind of like pocket veto this by leaving it in the committee. We should do one of 2 things: pass it as is, pass it by amending it if there's consensus and we can get 3 of us to agree on what that should be, or deny it, is my feedback.
What is, does anyone else have feedback?
We can stay till 11:30, it's okay. No.
Which way are you leaning, Dave?
Probably just pass it.
As is, without amending it?
There is a motion on the table. Was there
No, there
not?
was no second, so it died for failure of a second.
Yeah, did he second it?
Well, based on the, take other people and where they are. If you were looking at this resume, what step would you think? And we can kind of let's free talk. I mean, do we think it should actually be a 15?
It's hard to say because we always talk about relatable experience.
Yep.
And I guess for me, it's hard to say exactly how relatable this is. You know, it's the positions were more like in business, different than what the program coordinator would do. So I think it's hard to put years on it like that quick, right? In this next few minutes. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, now that we've had time to talk about this and ponder it, does anybody want to take a stab at a motion? Or retry a motion?
I'll try it again.
So Don, you make a motion to pass it as presented? Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
No.
No.
Yes. All right, so 3-2 passes. And for the, for purposes of the committee, when I report out the select board, I'll draw attention to the fact that we were divided on this one and why we were divided. And just share our reservations on it, okay? All right, that brings us to Assessor's Office.
Thank you.
PRF, part-time administrative assistant, additional assistant. Last approved PRF was February 5th, 2019, 15 hours, $12 per hour per week.
$15 an hour for 12 hours a week.
Oh, all right.
Missed the dollar sign there.
Sorry. So this is permission to post. The
Did
ring-
Jenny give her notice?
No.
This is an extra
It's cut
position.
down considerably though.
Yeah.
So it's 1571 to 1876 because that's what's budgeted, I'm assuming. So they have, right? 'Cause
Well,
the scale goes further, but it
But
must
I
be what
thought-
they have. Go
Yeah.
ahead, sorry.
but unless
Oh,
something, I thought we wiped out all the wages in the assessor's office because it was supposed to go consultants. So is it really budgeted?
It would have to come from that, well, first of all, they gotta post. And
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, is that both Jennifer and I have been on them to fill the second position because when no one's in that office, they come to her office and complain about it, and hers is the closest, or they come to mine. So it needs to get taken care of, but until the special town meeting, it would actually have to come from the ARPA account that we had authorized funds for them, if they actually do find someone before that.
ARPA, they were.
Not this right here.
With
is
the
that
with the
offer?
theory being, once we get to a special town
No.
meeting, we will
That's,
ask
been
for
done
a
already.
transfer from some of those consultants back into some of the wage lines.
So what's this, what's
That's the
this?
general
And then
fund
actually,
number.
I think
That's the
you
wrong
know what,
account, yeah.
I'm gonna take that back. I think it was the,
I know it was the
think the only one
person.
that got zeroed out was the principal assessor account. I think the
So is this,
the one for the administrative assistant is still there.
is this the same line item that the current employee? Would two employees be paid out of the same line if somebody was hired?
Yes.
Okay. Right, and that employee, okay. And that employee, I believe, is,
We had authorized extra hours.
right, and they may be going on reduced hours
Yeah.
for a period of time, which, okay. Okay,
Yeah, which is what brought it back to the forefront to get it posted and see if there was any interest, and see if we could find someone to fill it.
And so the job description was modified on September 14th, 2023, but, which is fine, but no one's requested any reevaluation or anything.
When was it modified?
Well, the header says,
Well,
Oh, that changes when you print it.
so some of us will just, they'll change the header when you print it.
Yeah.
But down at the bottom, it does say 9,
It's when they,
yeah.
This job
Printed it.
description was never approved. It was a
never approved?
very old, job description that was
Oh.
attached to it. So this is an update for us to approve. It's basically the same, it's a different format.
okay.
The range actually goes up to 2597, so I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of,
Wanna put
I
that
kind of
on-
hinted that they were going to actually post the range, that they probably wouldn't want to post it past whatever.
They're willing to pay.
Yeah,
It's
Janine is at
currently making, yeah.
1876.
All right, that makes sense. What's the committee's desire? Motion to approve as presented by Donna, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Robin. No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Okay, so let's go back to the start of our agenda. And this is to approve the minutes of August 17th. I'll leave it to you guys to see if we can miss them.
I didn't want to say on it because of Brianna. She's all by herself.
Motion to approve?
There's a motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So you actually signed these, right?
Nope. The chair has always signed them in the past.
All right.
I mean, if you like me to, I will, but.
So is the dispatcher done now?
No. I think we're waiting on the outside vendor. Has to get that room, has to get that safe room completed first before we can totally go dark.
See?
Yeah, so where the existing lobby is right now, once we're not there, once we're not staffing it, you're gonna be, East Hampton will be able to lock that room down in the event somebody is in danger and flees to the police station. They can get in there, East Hampton PD will lock the building down and then notify the Southampton cruisers to respond. So it creates a safe room in case of a domestic or an assault in progress. Okay, we are on, well, is there any other necessary business can't wait until our August 17th meeting? Well,
Nothing.
maybe, since that already happened, how about our October meeting? Okay, hearing none. So now we have a series of 11 different proposals put forward for the vacation policy revision rules and regulations review.
What about this?
We,
It was a late ad.
oh, yeah, okay, so we can, yeah,
That was an update. You were gonna do an update for, it's coming
It's-
after there. I don't know. What order you
Yeah.
wanna do it in?
okay. Do you want to stay for the vacation, all that discussion, or you want me to skip right to town administrator?
No,
Okay.
I'm going to stay for the other twos.
Okay.
So, yeah,
So-
don't worry about moving me around.
All right, so.
I love it here.
So yeah, I know. So we go through these and then we review them and hopefully at some point in time, if not tonight, we come to consensus. and then we publish our consensus, and we hold a public meeting just for the purposes of discussing these, and it's got to be posted in so many places and all that stuff. Get that done, and then after that public meeting, we forward the findings of the public meeting to the select board to hopefully enact whatever changes we want to do, or we're suggesting.
Anyone pull up?
No, fine.
All right.
All right, so the first one is adoption and amendment of the personal rules and regulations as it relates to vacation leave, changed earned vacation time. And we have a clean, is this a clean copy?
That's just, yeah, that's not it. That's just how we adopt
Oh, all right.
the process of the hearing and whatnot that you just explained.
Okay. So vacation leave, we all have the highlighted versions with the cross-outs. So starting, I'll just highlight changes. So under full-time employees, part-time benefit employees, letter A, we will strike 1. An employee in continuous service shall be granted new insert 2 service equivalents after completion of 1 year of service, but less than 3 years of continuous service. So the granted 1 should be written out to 2, right?
The word, yep.
And an equivalent is whatever their normal equivalent weekly hours are, right?
Correct.
Striking letter B in its entirety, which had said, an employee in continuous service shall be granted 2 service equivalents after 2 years of continuous service, but less than 5 years. Changing letter C by, an employee in continuous service shall be granted 3 service equivalents after 3 years, formally 5 years, of continuous service, but less than 12 years of service. And then the multiplier down at the bottom under F is multiply each month worked by, instead of 0.083, to make it 0.166 service equivalents of the number of hours. And I think, and then that would be the extent of the changes within that section. And my only question is that, to the extent Madam Treasurer knows, will the new payroll system be able to handle this calculation and this setup?
So I did email Harper's to find out about how their accruals worked, so.
Are you going to Harper's?
What's that?
You're going to Harper's?
Yeah.
Really?
Do you use Harper's?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Hope you're happy with them.
So.
Because that didn't sound really good. The regional district's going to Harper's too.
They are,
because
as
the
of
town's going to
October
Harper's.
1st, yeah.
Oh, really?
They're going fast, they're really
Yeah.
moving like now.
Well, they had
You know,
5
it
staff,
really-
they're down to 2.
It really depends who you, I don't know. I mean, I've had questions out to our rep for a couple of weeks now, and I keep sending reminders, like I really need to have an answer on this. But then there's other times when I'm doing payroll, because I do payroll now, that if I call and I happen to get her, then she'll help me right away.
Yeah.
So it really,
I feel like you can always call it and get someone to help you right away.
yeah.
I used it for like a year, but.
But
So,
you checked with them on the
I checked with
accruals?
Harper, so what they would normally do is accrue it, so if you get 2 weeks, say, for a year, they would accrue it, like, you know, you get 2 hours every pay period until you get your 2 weeks for that year. So it accrues each paycheck automatically, and then when employees end up hitting the next tier for more years of service, it would automatically update that too. So it's very self-sufficient as far as that goes, but I'm not sure how we would switch over to that because...
We front load them.
Yeah. so
We
you
front load
can-
them in July, just
Right.
like it's done here, and we
Right.
have it set up, so you have their start date, you have what they're accruing, or what your table is for, but there's always,
Yeah.
well, at least in South Hadley, there's a lot of exceptions to
Right.
the policy. So then there's a place where you can override the annual accrual, and you can actually put in what that accrual should be in July. But then you also have to, if it's a use it or lose it, then you have to wipe out the time that's existing.
Right.
So the first full pay in July, there's still a lot
Kind of like
you
what
have
we
to look
do
at
in soft right
everything.
now. We have to wipe out what was existing, add the new accruals.
Except for the people that get to carry over. we
Right,
have
yeah,
approvals and all that
yeah.
kind
So
of
it's
stuff.
very manual.
Right.
Front loading, but it's hard to switch when people are used to having all their vacation time giving them
Yes.
on July 1st.
And then it
for
looks
them
like
to
people are
only-
in the negative
'cause-
if they use a week's vacation in August or September and they have.
Right, it looks like they don't even have enough to use, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, so this right here works, if we front load. It does not work if we decided to, you're actually taking advantage of Harper's system if you don't front load because everything's more automatic.
Right.
But I do think front loading is better for the employees.
And anytime we have someone that's reaching the next, like for us, it's 5 years for 3 weeks of vacation. So even if the 5 years doesn't come until January, when they get front loaded in July, they get that extra week in July. We don't wait until.
Well,
I guess
again,
as
and my
long as
concern is
we're-
I don't want to go through the trouble of passing something that's going to be broken as
Right.
soon as we switch. So
I mean, I
if
guess as
it'll
long
work
as-
within the system.
As long as we could allow them to go into the negative, then.
Well, the other
But
option
that's
is, right,
kinda-
because once you're here, you've actually, in the previous year, you earned that time.
Right.
So there would almost be like a one-time true-up, and then start
And
the
Harper's,
accruals going
yeah,
forward.
and
So you would
Harper's
start
did
their
say they're
starting
used to
balance.
doing that, so,
Okay.
um,
I mean, other than that, I think this is good. I think 2 weeks to start is fair for the market.
So you're gonna use web time too?
web time, I don't even,
Oh.
Where they're punching in. No
we
manual
didn't, I don't think
machines.
we were, I mean, I guess we haven't even looked at the contract yet, but I didn't think we were using punch-in web time.
What is
We're
it?
not having people punch in for Harper's, right? We're all
Hourly
departments
employees.
punch in.
Well, you can also
No.
request time off and stuff
Yeah.
on that, track it.
No,
That-
they'll be able to go in and like check their
I've never used their web time.
their checks.
Ah,
and
so
their-
you just- yeah.
their time
That's-
off
Oh, I
and
didn't
that
use
stuff.
stamp
That's
as an
employee
employee,
forward.
actually.
Yeah.
But not
It's-
as a.
It's actually very
There's
good.
employee forward, there's payroll forward, there's web time, and
Yeah,
we
so,
use Millennium.
Yeah.
right. So, probably not to web time.
It's probably extra, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's something that we could add down the road if they choose to do so, so. And it comes to, like, I remember in East Hampton, you have to have computers to log in, so.
Yeah.
But you
people
can
used
do
to
it on
have
your
to go-
phone too.
Oh, you can do it on your phone?
Well, you just go,
Okay.
because it's a web-based,
Yeah.
it's web time.
Yeah,
It's a
sure,
web-based
yeah, okay,
software, so you
gotcha.
can do it on your phone.
And it
Is there,
record-
like, an
and it
app now?
records the- and it records the IP address, so it'll know if you're punching in from your house or
Okay.
the office.
Yeah.
I just remember East Hampton, they used to have to go to the personnel office and there was a computer there for people to clock in.
For the
Oh,
ones that
see, we
take
have a
time.
Yeah.
swiper too, but the
So-
swiper's been broken. for-
Not to break this conversation,
Yeah.
but how are we on vacation time? Does anybody want to change anything, modify it, leave it as is? Are we good to move this forward as it's modified?
I'm gonna abstain as an employee, and my daughter's an employee. I'm
Okay.
not sure if it's appropriate.
This doesn't apply to me, so,
Correct.
nor my son, because he's, right, because he's under
It's
the
covered under
union.
collective bargaining.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
And that's-
I guess I can still vote on it. I do think,
You're all done.
Hi Darcy, you were passed already. It's all set. Awesome. Thanks for stopping by.
Sign the payroll.
Jen, I'll slide it under your door.
Okay.
You're all set.
All right.
See you,
that's
Darcy.
great.
Were you good? Or were you going to try and move for 3 weeks to start with?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm good. I was just like, this doesn't, if we decided to use the accrual system, this wouldn't work, but, I mean,
But we could, if and when we want to
modify
go
it, yeah,
that route, we
but-
can make that
yeah.
change. Yep.
So I guess if we want to continue to front load, it just keeps it more manual, you know? But,
I think step one is get the payroll up and running.
Right.
Work all those bugs out, and then
Yeah.
if we're gonna switch over to accrual, we give the employees a minimum of 6 months' notice. Like we say in December, we're gonna do this starting July 1st, so there's plenty of lead-up time to it.
well, it's hard too to do that, I think, because wouldn't all the union contracts have to be, would that have to be put in them?
But you can do
Negotiated?
classifications, you
It
can,
wouldn't affect them.
so you can set up your employees as, this employee group is this union, and then you have another employee group that's the non-organized group,
Right.
which this would fall under, so you could have different rules
Yeah, different, yeah,
to match the agreement.
right. Okay.
David, are you good with this? Donna? Are you good? All right, so procedural-wise, do we have to vote?
Do we vote and then it goes to public meeting, right?
Already considered by the board in precinct 12, one same person proposing no amendment rules or substitute. We should have a meeting, we discuss proposed rules and amendments of rules. Any proposed rules or regulations of shall be posted 10 days. Okay, so if there's no, how about we just take a formal vote to accept this as presented and move it forward in the process?
And there was a couple of little minor changes where, and I forgot exactly where they were, but I put in like the number 2, but had written out the 2 or whatever.
Yep, we fixed that one.
Change, so.
Yep. Okay, so I'll make the motion to move this forward to the public hearing process. Seconded by Donna. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. With one abstention. This, now we have next seeking authorization to fill open posts. And it looks like the change here is on page 2, section A6. The PRF for newly created positions only will be presented to the Finance Committee, which will review the matter in accordance with its procedures and process. Formally, it was any PRF had to go to Finance, but what we're saying here is these are just new ones, not ones that already exist within the budgets.
You're just adding in the sentence.
Yes,
Right.
for example, to
Yep.
fill my position with me leaving, it's in the budget. It's an existing position, so.
We're not making any
that-
changes.
That would just be PPB and select board, not go to
Right.
finance.
Yeah, because it doesn't, in theory, it should not have a financial impact on the budget.
Right.
It's not a new position and you're not paying more,
Right.
in theory. I don't have any objections to this. I don't know if anybody else does or
No.
wants to change anything else within this section.
Finance Committee's the one that recommended it, so.
I'm good.
Okay,
A motion to approve?
so we have a motion to move forward to the public hearing process by Robin. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jennifer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Next, holidays, change coverage / wording. So the first one is under coverage, we are adding employees who are benefited and work 20 hours or more hired on or after July 1st, 2023. So this is creating a grandfather clause that anybody that would currently be negatively impacted by us changing this will stay the way they are and going forward. We already have Juneteenth is in here, and then I saw,
Yeah, there's another request on the next page. I don't know if you want them together or separate.
and where, so I know where this one came from. Where did this request come from?
Me.
Okay, all right, so the committee
As a-
members
as a
putting
member.
forward a possible additional change to this. And this is for Thanksgiving Day to start, adding a sentence after it or a comma, or inserting Thanksgiving Eve, 1 PM closure for all non-essential employees. And then that's one. Step 2 is then repeat that for Christmas Eve. So My initial thoughts on this, I don't really have an issue with the day before Thanksgiving. Christmas Eve, I would want probably additional wording in there. The day before Thanksgiving doesn't move. It's always a Wednesday.
Yes.
But if Christmas Eve is a Saturday, if it's not specifically in here, will people interpret that to mean the Friday or the Thursday or the whatever?
Since the term was used, I would like to know if non-essential is actually a definition in the front of the rules and regulations.
You don't have it with me.
Stand by.
think so.
We'll be back to you on that one.
We know we're not essential. Sylvan will let us know.
And then the only thing I would say is if it isn't, that probably should
Be a different word.
Another little change.
No, there's no
Because this would be town hall
non-essential.
employees, it would be the library,
Library.
and it would be Robin's position. Because she's outside town hall.
Well, it could go further than that, too.
Who?
That's why I'm trying to, term isn't emergency or first responders or anything, so I'm trying to find that definition of
Yeah.
non-essential right
There,
now.
it's not in here. so
But
we have to word it differently.
who's covered by this? Can I see? In the beginning of the definitions? Because it spells out who is entitled to these benefits and who isn't in one of the paragraphs. Okay, so employee shall mean an individual who is regularly scheduled and paid by the town to perform services on full-time or regular part-time basis, but excluding school department personnel. All employees as defined whether they work for a department or an elected board, and regardless of whether they are paid through the enterprise fund, are employees of the town, and therefore their terms and conditions of employment, rates, accounts, hours of employment, as well as the recruitment terminations are subject to the policies and procedures set forth herein, except the extent. So I would, it's the employees that are covered by this. Because it's not going to be police, it's not going to be fire, it's not going to be the four employment agreement people, because they're not covered by this by default. They're a separate standalone
Well, unless
contract.
there happens to be a clause in that CBA that says that, you know.
Collective bargaining agreement? Well, yeah.
Yeah, that says that if it's not in here, they're still covered by anything additional in here.
I think highway says that.
Yeah, that's what
So,
I'm saying.
is there anything in, I know that we have this in a couple of our union contracts, that if town hall closes, then those essential personnel
Go
get
on
time and a half.
Didn't, we used to have that for
But it's gone.
highway, but
We
I
don't
think
have
they gave
it
it up,
anymore.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's out of their contract now.
that was a mess.
So we never get, town hall never gets officially closed anymore, because then they have to pay time and a half. So if you don't come in, then it's okay, you can close your own department, but they won't close town hall
So
officially.
what happens when the select board takes a vote to close at 1 o'clock or noon on Thanksgiving Eve? Does the vote
Like
specifically
the day
say,
before or the day after Thanksgiving?
yeah, but does it say specifically, does the vote go that only town hall and the library? And do we leave the DPW out of it, or highway department?
No, the last vote was, and you had made the motion, I think you had, I forget the exact term, but I forget if you had said emergency personnel or and it wasn't first responders, it might have been emergency personnel.
I feel like normally everyone's.
But the other thing you could do right in
police,
here is say,
Fire.
you could say non-essential personnel, and then add to that, you know, meaning employees other than police, fire, EMS, and, you know, if you want to include highway or whatever, but actually put in who's excluded. Seriously, I'm not opposed to it, I'm just trying to figure out.
I mean, highway might
Try
say
to-
that they're not emergency unless it happens to be storming. You know?
It'd be the
That's
first
why
time.
if you actually put it in there, that they're excluded, they're excluded.
Just within this holiday, just at that one section?
So, yeah,
They normally do leave early for
Or for,
closures,
or
like
for
the
that one,
highway,
or for that
so.
one particular day.
But it's kind of, right now, it's been at the discretion of the department head.
Yeah, so maybe we should
So can we
write
put that in there
somehow.
too? What if we did that
yeah.
instead?
Mhm,
That
that's a good idea.
employees shall be permitted to leave at 1 PM, subject to department head approval. For example, if at 2 o'clock Randall knows there's a nor'easter that's about to hit, he's not gonna send everybody home at 1 o'clock. And he would be within his right to do that. I mean,
Here's the way I look at that.
just work the full day.
And you all know I'm a pain in the butt, so, okay, Jen decides to close her department, I don't. You know, so now you're pitting one department.
Yeah, but
against another.
Jen doesn't have, the treasurer
Just
quite doesn't have
example.
authority to close
Just say
the town hall.
Department A and Department B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't close, no, I don't have authority to close the town hall. So you could
Right.
close the town hall. Or whoever's here.
Okay, so let's
I think
take
it opens up
this in
I think
pieces.
it opens up a can of worms, honestly.
Let's-
Like it,
Go ahead.
I don't know.
Does South Hadley have it in their policy?
No, and the last.
Do they vote it every year, or they just decide?
We stay.
Oh, you stay? They don't close early?
Nope.
Really?
Our previous town administrator would let us close.
Yeah, because most towns do. A lot of them
Like
are
at 2,
open.
it was usually like 2 o'clock or something like that, he would
Yeah.
say. But our current town administrator is usually not there on those days, but so no one tells us.
We are being recorded.
I'm just saying, nobody, I mean, there's never anyone there to say
Yeah.
you can. So so we stay open.
That's a bummer. Didn't the select board vote to always vote this in July?
To take it up in July, so we're not waiting for last minutes.
So if
Issues.
that's going to happen,
Yeah,
maybe we should put
except I'm gonna have to go
that
back and look, because I think what we took up is the day after Thanksgiving off.
You did do that one.
in. So that's, wait a minute.
But I think.
What, you
for
added
this year-
that after you
Go ahead.
started
The day after
working
Thanksgiving
Fridays,
is now a
you mean?
day off for
I
everyone?
thought it was for only this year,
Oh,
right? You voted it for only this
It's
year,
an
right?
annual vote.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, every year you have to vote it again.
Right.
Okay.
And I have promised that even after I leave, that every July I will call up and remind them to vote in July.
gonna do that?
For
I
Thanksgiving.
don't
Yeah,
know.
we'll do that for you.
Yeah? Wow.
so,
Because if we add it in here as the day after Thanksgiving, then, I mean,
well, instead of doing that.
most
we can
places
just-
aren't here on Friday anyways, so it wouldn't impact them, right? Even if we said, like, June 19th, it's a holiday, you get it off, but only if it's one of the days you would normally work. Because that's one of the days that
Right.
changes on the calendar, right?
Everyone, well, yeah.
I mean, it's the same
Town
date,
hall's
but...
not really here.
So perhaps we should just note that it will be voted on by the select board every year, as you guys voted, just to put it in. Not necessarily put the 1 o'clock closure. Vacation will be voted on every year. Early closure, I don't know how you word it.
I mean, I guess if you plan to vote on it every year,
So you know it's gonna happen,
it
there's
doesn't
always
have
an
to
early
even be in the
release.
policy, right? Does it have to be in?
It doesn't have to be, but it should, people should know what's happening,
Right.
planning purposes.
I wish we closed at 1 o'clock. You guys get all the benefits. All right, so do we want to just hold off on that second change for right now and just move forward with the first one, which is clarifying who benefits from this?
Yes. I am gonna abstain from this, but that's
Okay.
So the
looking at
first
my
one,
feelings
so it's
unhurt.
anyone hired before July 1st, 2023. All those employees hired before that date would be grandfathered in, and going forth, only 20 hours plus will get paid for holidays, right?
So what about
Okay.
these people that are hired in the council on aging working 4 hours?
Well, it says before July 1st, 2023.
They would get that time, but if they're hired after
Then no.
July 1st, no, they wouldn't get any paid time off for the holidays.
But it's not official yet.
Well, right, anybody that just got hired right now, correct, they're gonna get it.
So we might have to change that July 1st date.
To the date that it's voted, I would
So
think.
date it's approved.
Yeah. That's my opinion.
Oh, because we're already in July 1st.
Right, we've already passed that. We're in October.
Yeah.
Hired on or after, I would
Whatever date
scratch
it is
July 1st,
approved.
date passed.
It would be nice to like not have that because that's really hard. I mean, a lot of the employees that work part-time too don't even work consistent days all the time. So it's like, you know, then they're like, oh yeah, well, it's a holiday. Now they, all of a sudden well, you haven't worked a Monday in 3 weeks, but now you work Monday, but they did prior, you know, so it's like,
Yeah, we've seen that
it's just
happen.
messy.
All right, so the first suggested change, and then changing effective date to date of past. Is there a motion to move that one forward?
I'm gonna abstain.
What was
so if
this
you wanna
again?
make a
This is
motion.
just you gotta be 20 hours or more.
Yes.
All right, so there's a
Yes.
motion to move that one forward.
Yes.
Yeah, second.
Seconded by David. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained? 1, 4, 0, 1. We're going to hold off on number 4, and that's related to Thanksgiving Eve and Christmas Eve. Next, we have work from home, allowing work from home. Yeah, I know. I had the same question. So this is striking non-exempt employees are not permitted to work from home in lieu of reporting to their place of work, period, and inserting both exempt and non-exempt employees may work from home at the request of their department head or chair of their committee or board to the select board and the select board approval for that employee to work from home. The department head or committee board chair shall in writing fully describe the reason for the need of the employee to work from home. And then back to the old policy, town files and records must remain in the municipal building at all times. So I raised this as a select board. I don't understand how somebody can work from home and not have files and
Right,
access to
I
the
was thinking the
records.
same thing. What are they gonna do?
Right.
Have you ever heard of USB drive?
Yeah, but you gotta, I mean,
Or emailing them to yourself? It's what I do all the time.
yeah,
I don't have to
sometimes.
physically
but-
take files with me. And I don't want to physically take files with me because then I have to carry some.
I think this is kind of wordy.
It's not a
the way
very
it's-
good way to work.
And besides, it was one of your
Are you
fellow
working from home?
I
select board
can
members
see.
that
I have the
added
paperwork in front of
that
me.
little piece about the files.
Well, so yeah, and I don't, that wasn't me, I don't think.
No, well,
Town file, I think if we kind of change that and say all original files and records must remain in town hall, you know, so, I mean, you can make copies.
Yeah.
You can scan them and do
Yeah.
emails, but the originals need to stay.
and the history in
Yeah.
all towns, especially small towns about this, is the smaller departments or the boards or committees that actually physically kept those original records in their homes or whatever, and they got lost and go back to town hall, or never had the town hall home.
So hopefully this means they won't allow their employees to work from home and then not have the offices opened and then they're like, oh, you know.
So I do think we need to change the wording a little bit. So
Yeah, I
both
don't
exempt
like
and
the wording.
non-exempt employees may work from home at the request of their department head, comma, chair, appropriate chair, comma, or it could even be comma, chair of the committee, comma, or board.
It just sounds weird, at
Yeah.
the request of their department head?
So the employee can't make the request themselves. They have to go to their department head or their supervisor and say, I want to work from home because of X, Y. The department head or supervisor needs to say, yes, I agree with that.
So you're talking about an extended period of time working from home. I mean, if someone says,
Had their kneecap replaced. And I could go on leave, or I'm still capable of doing my job from home for 2 weeks. Can I go remote for 2 weeks?
And it doesn't even have to be that, one of the pieces of this is, okay, the Concom agent. And actually, this one's here more than the last one was, but still, he monitors the emails or whatever, so when he's not in the office, rather than wait 4 or 5 days to come back in and do that, this actually gives someone like that the ability to actually say, yes, I am monitoring those emails, I'm responding to them, and yes, for this week, it actually took me an hour.
Right, so they have to go through the process and make the request, and then ultimately, even if the department person, if the department head or the chair of the Board of Health agrees to it, they still can't do it until it is put before the select board in writing and voted by the select board to approve it. Is the intent of what's written here.
That may be hard if it's in the event of an emergency. Snowstorm, we're gonna take work home, we're gonna have a meeting to vote on this.
Or do you create a policy in the event that this happens, then the town administrator is authorized to? The other thing I would caution you about is, and it probably hasn't come up, but with more and more remote, and I haven't seen Maya do it yet, but I'm sure it'll come. It's 160 days, 160 or 180 days in a calendar year, and you have to classify, you have to list that work site on your workers' comp.
I know Maya did ask, with the workman's comp audit this year, they did ask if we had employees that worked, out-of-state employees who worked from home.
So your conservation commissioner lives out of state now. So once you hit the 6 months, so it's 180 days. Once you hit the 6th month, you have to declare that on your insurance, on your workers' comp.
Lives out of state?
He lives in Connecticut. So I'm sorry, once you hit the 6 months,
You have to list it as an additional work location by address on your workers' comp policy. And then you gotta pay workers' comp in Connecticut, in this particular case, in Connecticut.
so it would increase if we had.
Well, it should decrease your mass, because that employee will no longer be charged off
So
here.
now we would
The
have
question
a bill
is,
for
is the
Connecticut,
comparable
not for
job in
Mass.
Connecticut higher or lower or equal
Okay.
to whatever that taxable rate is?
Seems like a pain.
Right. So let's start. The intent of this, is everybody good with the intent of this, or do they want to leave it alone and not make any changes? Meaning, just void the whole thing, you know?
And not
Or
have
do we want
policy?
to, allow it and just kind of change, because it's a little choppy, change the wording?
I mean, I get the intent, and I think it's good to have a policy so that it's clear, so it's not assumed that people can work from home whenever they want, or, you know, if you don't have a policy, I guess, then you can't challenge if somebody says, well, I do all my work from home.
Yeah, we don't want anyone to
But-
abuse it.
You don't want it to be so involved that nobody's going to apply. You know, no one's going to actually do whatever's required to say, I want to work. You know what I mean? I think. Because otherwise, then you're just going to have people possibly doing it without.
So the department head would just have to put in a letter requesting to the select board
With the reasons why.
the
And the
reasons
time,
why.
and the time frame or whatever, if it's a temporary or. So you
That's
might
the
have
thing,
to
the
come up with a
time frame.
form for at least information that has to be answered.
Yeah, another form.
Yeah.
All right, so does anybody want to volunteer to rewrite this?
Who wrote it?
Ed.
Ed?
So,
You want to volunteer?
I mean,
No.
if you can tell me the gist, I'll be happy to try to amend it.
why don't I'll take a stab at it and then send it to you and see if it still meets the intent of what you're trying to do. And then we'll try and we'll get it back for the next meeting. All right,
Sounds
so
good.
we'll hold that for a minute.
Okay.
Probationary period. Clarify 90-day probation, 90 work days, or 90-day period of time. So currently, shall include scheduled let's see. All newly hired promoted employees shall be required to successfully
question, yeah.
complete a 90-day probationary period, during which period the employee may be terminated, removed, blah, blah, blah. By law, police officer must serve, okay, such probation, certain days. Promotion date as defined as the first 90 insert work days of actual work by a newly hired or newly assigned current employee. The 90 workdays shall include scheduled non-work days such as weekends or regular days off, but shall not include days on which the newly hired or newly assigned employee is absent from work for any other reason. So, without these changes, if you were a election worker, you'd actually have to do, what, 180 elections before you be qualified?
Because it includes days off.
So I wondered, to
weekends.
simplify, should we just say 90 calendar days? 3
I
months?
guess if you're an election worker,
Jen and I
you're not
have been
gonna,
all around this one. Here's that 90, I
Yeah,
mean,
just-
normally you say 90 calendar days, but, okay, person that works 4 hours a week, that could be 1 day a week, part-time.
It's still 3 months.
It's 3 months, but how many actual work days is that to see if the person has really?
If you haven't figured out
Yeah.
in 12 weeks,
Yeah. I think you have a pretty clear idea, but,
Then just do the 90 calendar days.
yeah.
Well, I think the way it says it here is, honestly, it says 90 work days of actual work, but it says 90 work days shall include scheduled non-work days such as weekends or regular days off, but shall not include days in which the newly hired or newly assigned is absent. So it basically is 90 days minus if they took a day off, like then they would add an extra day onto those 90 days. It's the same thing, you know?
and then the definition, if you want to take a look at it, is slightly different.
This definition is different, yeah.
So it's just really a matter of consistency, and when it comes to the accruals, can
Well-
you use your vacation, sick, personal before that. It's not clarified in sick and personal. Vacation it is, you cannot.
Sure.
So it's just consistency.
I think of
really.
probationary period that you can't use accruals.
Right, that you don't, you're not
Any-
even loaded, like,
But
we
it
don't
does-
even
but
load
it's-
our,
I do, I think that you can't use, that's what I think of it, you can't use any until the 90 days is up. But-
so the 90 days,
it's
so if
not-
you took any time off during that 90 days, it would be unpaid because
Right.
you're not,
Right,
right.
but it's not specified
Mhm.
in here, so it has been questioned.
okay.
And I think that's where we're going with that, just to be consistent throughout.
So couldn't we
So
say
is there-
90 calendar days plus
Well,
any?
so on page 9 earlier, because this is page 21 of the book, so earlier in the book, we have the definition of probationary period is defined as the first 90 days of actual work by a newly hired or newly assigned current employee, during which time the said employee may be terminated for any lawful cause or no cause without blah, blah, blah. At the employer's discretion, it can be extended. Police officers are subject to a 1-year probation. So it's defined as the first 90 days of actual work. So that means you have to have 90 days
Working.
of actual working.
And that's where I read it.
Right, so
Like I said, that's what
if
I
you work
read.
1 day a week,
You
Oh, it
need
says
90
it
of
different
those?
in that section, yeah.
right, so, and the definition page would supersede.
Well, they should match that. You should make them
I agree,
match
I
that.
agree. So what I think
Yeah.
is we need to correct the definition, and then here,
To match,
under probationary
yeah.
period, we say see definition.
Yeah, and then.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then to boot,
Okay,
those, even if everyone worked the whole week and everyone was full-time, you've got employees in town hall that work
4 days.
4 days a week versus someone in the library or the highway department or the water department that might work 5 days a week to get to the 90
Right,
days.
so if we do, I mean, again, simple, fewer words are better. So 90 calendar days is 3 months. I understand what you're saying, Jen. If they were scheduled for time off, like, yes, I want to take the job and I'm going to be hired, but I disclose to you that I've already booked a 2-week vacation, and you agree to let me take that unpaid. Right, that would be a scenario
should
where,
extend that 90 days.
so, do we want to just say 120 days? 120 calendar days? And then that would cover everything. Because are you going to hire somebody and give them more than 4 weeks off in their first 3 months?
But while we're extending it, we're also prohibiting them from using any time off even longer.
So do we just leave it at 90?
I honestly didn't think this wording was, I mean, it made sense to me. So, I don't know.
I think it's wordy.
It is wordy, but it does,
I just think that if someone's going to wash out, you're going to know relatively soon.
for my
And
positions, I found with the 90 days, like, I found that they haven't even had a chance to learn all of the duties in those 90 days, so it's like will they not, you know, but that's me. So for me, it's nice to see that they can do all the duties of the position before the probationary period is up, but other positions, maybe that doesn't, you know, depends. So just 120 might be a long time benefit-wise, right? To say you can't have any time off. You think so? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Right, well, really, I mean, everyone, the intent is the 90 days. It's the
Right.
exception comes up. So, at the sole discretion of the employer, the probationary period may be extended. So, under that scenario I gave, where, yes, I'd like to come work for you, but I already booked my 2 weeks to the Bahamas on these 2 dates. Okay, then I'm going to request that we add 14 days. Because of that, I'm going to give you that request, but
To your probation.
under this case, I'm going to extend your probation by 14 days, which would be at the time of hire and all spelled out. So that could satisfy, you know, because
Yeah, something
otherwise
like
they're
that
not going to have
happen,
an
that's fine.
absent. There's no reason to
Yeah.
have an absent, right?
So maybe
Right.
when the day that when they're given their new hire paperwork and their start date, then maybe there should be something that says their probationary period ends on
Such and such.
such and such a date.
Do you have like a one-pager that they sign off now saying they understand that there's no
Well, they
paid
have
time
this,
off in the first 90
well, they
days?
received this and they should be able to calculate their 90 days out, right?
Should, but it's nice that you,
Yeah, I mean, I'm just.
Yeah, but do you give them this book and you say, sign the last page saying you've
I do
that
give them this
you've
book,
read
yeah,
it,
to-
you've read and understood everything that's in here, and I've
Well,
only
they
given you
do
30
sign off
seconds to read
saying
it?
that they
Exactly.
received the book and yes,
Right.
that they do sign off saying that,
You just note them, see page 9. No.
but
Okay,
I'm just.
I hear you.
no, I think if you have a new employee, you can sit down with them, this is how you can explain to them, this is how your vacation, sick, and personnel accrue.
And it's their department head that's
Yeah.
sitting down, not the treasurer.
This is when it can be by department head, however they want to do it, but.
But I'm just
I
saying
think
if
that's good
they,
management.
if they ask for the time off that they, for a
My
pre-scheduled
yeah.
vacation or whatever, then if you make it clear that the probationary
Right.
period is
I
extended.
mean, my department right now, honestly, I don't feel like we have the extra time to just be adding to our workload. So, you know, but if department heads, yes, could explain, I mean,
Well, one of the other things that we could do is we could, as a committee, we could create, I mean, you must have some sort of onboarding packet already.
we do.
Yeah, so do we create this other one-pager based on these changes? And it's like a fill in the blank. You're starting here, 90 days out is here.
Right.
Put a little asterisk. What were any considerations given? You know, the pre-arranged vacation time that might adjust this number. So it's a seed to or it's a flag to the department head. Do I need to change this date or not? And department head signs it, they sign it, and it just becomes part of their file. And then, now it comes to you, because you're gonna need to know when to
Need
turn
to
on
track it.
benefits. Right? I mean, to allow them to take time off and get paid for it. I don't know if that creates a manual process in your office once they clear probation.
Yeah,
or
it's
not.
more work, but.
It's more work,
it's
yeah. I mean,
Organization.
Just tell Harper's.
I mean, I'm not looking.
We can create a
to
sign-off
create
form.
More work for
quite
my
easily.
office, to be
I'll help you,
honest,
Jen.
I know.
because
But
yeah.
Ed,
Ed?
And if you already don't dislike me, you will before the end of this evening. The little sentence or whatever that you read at the discretion of the employer, is there a definition of who the employer is?
yes, there is a definition
Oh,
of the
Ed.
employer.
Do we need to add definitions to this? Employee, town.
Well, the employer is the
Shall mean
town.
the
Is the
town.
town.
Well, it is, but what I'm getting at.
No more
is-
public comment.
Yeah, is basically, who is that responsible
department
discretion
head.
of? Is, you know,
Yeah.
Appointing authority.
again, you know, does that mean the department head, or is it someone higher up than the department head to make that decision? So there's-
Should be the department head, right?
But what about departments that don't have department heads?
Their board.
The appointing authority. To a department.
It just says, yeah, appointing authority or department head. I don't know, I mean,
I mean,
Okay.
just-
So under,
Do something like 90 calendar days for the normal work week, plus any,
So right now, because we,
any time off taken in that period or something. Trying to make it back to simple.
we do need a definition for employer, because even what's in here, it says it can be terminated for any lawful reason at the sole discretion of the employer. Well, who's the employer? And then by law, police officers must serve a 1-year probationary period. And then what I think under this section is we just take out such probationary period shall begin immediately, blah, 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 blah. Get rid of all that stuff. Maybe extended debts in there, get rid of that. And get rid of all the way up to, and stop where it says probationary period shall be used. And what we deleted there, insert see definition of probationary period. So that brings them back to F, which is the probationary period, is defined as the first 90 calendar days of actual work. Is defined by the first 90 days.
Calendar days.
Calendar days,
Never
period.
mind get away from actual working days.
First 90 calendar days. Period.
couldn't it just say the first 90 calendar days, but shall not include days in which the newly hired or newly assigned employee is absent from work or for any other reason?
Are you on the definition? On page 9?
No, I don't have the crop policy with me, so I'm just on this. Yeah.
So we strike that sentence, that section in there, and said, see the definition. So we just
Okay.
want to true up the definition.
Right.
Instead of spelling it out here, just.
I mean, calendar days is fine, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, what we can do is we can make these changes, and then we can
Yeah.
come back next month and just reread it again, and make sure if we want to tweak it at all. I mean, we don't have to come up with
Wait,
the
when are we,
permanent.
because it's not going to public meeting, how long are we waiting for it to go to public?
We're only halfway through these. I know. This may be the only, well, because we already got to deal with the other one. We could have multiple public meetings.
Right. Okay.
So we're gonna hold that thought until next meeting? Think about it, how you want it worded?
So so we're pretty good with the 90 calendar days, but Jen, you want, you want that highlighted section? Shall include scheduled non-work days such as weekends, regular days off, but shall not include days on which the newly hired and newly assigned employees is absent from work for any other reason.
Well, it would just be 90 calendar days, but shall not include days which the newly hired or newly assigned employee is absent from work for any other reason, I guess. That's.
So another example is if
So
they get stuck on
basically,
the
then
grand
you don't
jury.
have to, I don't know, to have a form, I can see if, like, people knowing what their probationary period is, but then to have a form where there's their probationary period, and then you have to figure out if they're taking time off, and then maybe they end up missing another day, it's just like, I'm not tracking all that. You know?
You would only track it for your own department.
Right. Well, but most departments aren't going to do it, that's the thing. Robin, you're going to do it, but the rest of them aren't going, like, most of them aren't going to do it. Honestly. You know that. Because even like the PRFs or the separation forms, most departments don't do those, you know? Not everyone does. There's certain departments that know the forms and use them and certain that don't, but
So
it's just chasing around people.
Yeah, so is
you know?
this an 80-20 issue? 80% of the time, they're off probation within the regular 90 calendar days, and it's the exceptions when they go past?
Right.
right? So if we're trying to manage for the norm, it's the 80%, let's just leave it at the 90 calendar days, because that's very easy to track.
Right.
And then the one-offs, they just need to be dealt with on an individual basis.
By their department heads, like
Right.
it says in here, they can,
Right,
extend it if they choose, but I don't want it to fall on my office.
okay. So I think we agree.
Okay, 90 calendar days.
And leave everything else in that section the way it is. Determine later whether we have to add a definition of employer.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Did we?
Crystal clear to me.
Did we want to agree on the vacation, sick, and personal? You cannot take it.
I mean, I do
If
think,
you're on
I think you
probation,
shouldn't be
or-
able to use any
But
paid time off.
do we have
on-
that marked up here? Oh, is this where you're going? Because
Yeah,
that's
I think
item
I
number
did.
8 and number 9.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Sick,
we'll just-
personal.
We'll
Yeah.
take it when we hit there.
Okay.
Okay, so page 21, we're going to delete that middle section. We're going to insert C definition probationary period. And then we're going to change the definition of probationary period by inserting calendar after 90 days. 90 calendar days. Okay, is everybody good with moving that forward?
Yes.
Aye? Aye, okay, done. So now we're back on page
Where's that one?
8. Definition, full-time employee shall mean an employee regularly, okay. Full-time employee shall mean an employee regularly scheduled to work 30 or more hours per week. Benefits provided to full-time employees who work fewer than 40 hours per week shall be prorated where applicable. So the suggestion is to change 30 or more. Well, it says suggested 35 hours to reflect retirement, or make note that retirement system considers 35 hours full-time.
I agree with that, because there's employees that think that this policy makes them think that they're doing a full-time equivalent for a year if they're working 30 hours, but really Hampshire County Retirement requires 35 hours. It's prorated any less than that, so they're like, oh, your policy says full-time is 30 hours, but
Right.
and I think that's, I
You can
mean,
keep it at 30, but I think it should be noted so they know.
so keep it at 30 or noted.
Or just change it to
There's a
55.
So full-time employee shall mean an employee regular scheduled to work 30 hours or more.
But who is
usually
it-
35 hours.
Who is it gonna affect? I mean, at one time, the principal assessor got changed to 35 because of this. The town clerk and the collector treasurer
They're
are
elected, they're
elected, so it doesn't
Bradley's
matter.
was just changed,
Bradley,
right?
well, Bradley's hasn't been changed yet because his contract would need to be renegotiated, but I know during budget season, it was mentioned that he wanted to increase his hours to reflect the 35 in his contract, and it's something that I think you
Yeah,
guys
he's
were
currently
eventually,
getting a 97%.
right, it's something
For
you were
full-time
eventually gonna do,
equivalent. Yeah.
so.
And of course, I'm paying, so I looked at it and said, he got more hours, he got more pay. Don't come back to me now and say, well, now I'm an hour short from getting to 100%. He got a benefit out of it, so.
So.
But
I don't
even,
know.
Yeah.
I hear you.
I
But
mean-
even if we change this to say an FTE is 35, that doesn't change him. Because his contract is right now is.
I mean, if
yeah.
it was me, all I would do is put a footnote or an asterisk in there under the definition and say.
Hampshire County Retirement Board.
Please note, under, and I'm gonna guess it's not only Hampshire, but under Massachusetts retirement systems, to get
full-
1 year's credit,
Full credited year of
a
service
full
is
credit year of
35.
service, that full-time mark is 35 hours a week, something like that.
We can just take that first bullet from there and add Massachusetts retirement system.
Well, the first one or the second one?
Full-time equivalency, just spell it
Then we would
out.
have to change,
All
But the second
services
one
less
says
than 35
all service
hours a
less than
week.
35.
I bet we can find both these.
Yeah.
That's fine.
why is 30 considered full-time anyways? Why 30? Like, why was that?
It's always been 32.
Probably built around
Back in the day.
the normal office hours in town
4-day
hall.
work week.
Because actually, usually the people that are actually getting to 32 have some type of evening hours or,
Right,
you know,
2-hour
board meetings or something they have to
I
attend.
think when they went from 5 days a week to 4 days a week. So if that
Yeah.
was a normal 37 and a half hour work week, and then it went to 30.
Yeah.
So we're in agreement, we're gonna add a footnote, asterisk in there, and insert bullet point 1 and 2.
Sure.
Everyone good? Good?
I
Good?
agree.
All right, moving that one
Yep.
forward.
Thank you.
Okay, number 8, sick leave, clarify if 90-day probation. So this is, in July, each employee having 6 months of continuous service shall be credited with 5 days of sick leave. All employees with less than 6 months of service shall be provided sick leave in accordance with the following schedules. And we're thinking, we want to carry over sick time if an employee is unable to use due to probationary or proration, suggest to specify if 90-day probation is required.
So it's spelled out in the vacation. Somewhere.
Sick leave is not...
That you have to complete your probationary period.
Before
So-
you can, yeah. But sick leave's not paid out at its termination, correct?
No.
No.
Unless it's spelled out in some other agreement somewhere.
Right.
But, so employees, less than 6 months should, okay. I mean, you have to have at least 6 months of continuous service to be credited with 5 and then less. So if they start, so you're saying if they start in,
January.
like,
No, if they start like
April.
April, May, June, they're not gonna make their probationary period to
Right.
take their time. So in that event, it could be carried over with the department heads. Approval?
Yeah, we get to accrue our,
Up to a cap?
we don't have a cap, but we don't, only grandfathered people that were hired before a certain date can get paid out a percentage if they give a 1-year notice before they retire. So we get 10 days of vacation, of sick time a year, and we accrue it. But during the probationary period, you earn it, but you don't,
like the vacation.
you
Yeah,
can't use it.
Use it, yeah.
So it's the same with personal vacation and sick. So you can't use it during your probationary period, even though you're
So
accruing
what do
it.
you do with the employees that start in, say, April? And then
So they don't, right,
They
so
can't
they
use
work
it.
April, May, and June.
they get it in July, right? Like,
Right, they get it in July, so say for vacation time. Whatever, however many days they earned,
Right.
they get it loaded in July along with their regular accrual
yeah.
time, and then they have that year to use it. So in that first year, they might have more time than they would the second year because they have the portion that they were accruing
Right,
during
yeah.
their probationary period.
Yeah.
So we don't
We would
take
have
that
to
away, like,
For us to do sick accruals where you earn sick time like that and earned up to say 10 to 12 days a year, that's like pretty common. I think for municipalities, like 10 to 12 days a year, then we wouldn't be able to also keep that disability plan. Like, if
Right.
we have that
Right.
disability plan that kicks in after 5 days, so.
yeah, so we don't have anything like
Yeah.
that. So if we didn't have the ability to accrue it and you needed to have a knee replacement or something and you were gonna be out for 5 or 6 weeks, at least now you have the ability to
Yeah.
accrue time,
Right.
you
Yeah,
know,
that's
so
nice,
that you
yeah.
have it.
Yeah. So, I think that we should not allow employees to use paid time off during their probationary period, but if whatever they earned should be forwarded. If they're not allowed to use it in the fiscal year they earned it, they should be forwarded to that next fiscal year, carried over.
Right. Give them time to use it.
Yeah, yeah. It wouldn't be a lot.
No, you're incentivizing people to use their sick time, to call out sick.
Well, maybe not sick then, but maybe vacation and personal time you could do that with.
I also think this is an easy one to automate through the payroll system.
What's that?
This sick leave here. I mean, you just put it in there, they can start accruing on day one, but the system won't let them charge their time off to it for the first 90 days. That can all be set, so there's no manual process on this. I mean, I would go so far as to say, what is this standalone policy? I thought it was self-funded, the short-term disability.
It's funded by the town somehow, either
Through
by
their
the
wage line,
department,
right?
if there's money in that wage line, or if there's not.
We have to fund it somehow.
Yeah.
It's self-funded, okay, yeah.
We should budget it.
I mean, usually if it happens in the highway or police, okay, it's coming out of their
Yep.
budget to cover it. Those oddities when you have a COA van driver who is getting paid through a formula grant and there's no budgetary money to cover that one.
Yeah, I mean,
If they're
where
working over 20 hours.
the short is you buy a
Yeah.
policy, that's how you can fund
Yeah.
it. But,
Ideally, you'd have a stabilization fund or something to,
Right.
I mean, I think you should be able to accumulate sick leave. Up to a max, whatever it is.
I mean, I agree
Up to
with
10
that, but
days?
how does that, well, we have that disability policy too, so.
But you can still say, if you have to come...
coming out of the town one way or the other,
But-
so what difference does it make?
Right, but
Yeah,
yes, so in
one's
order...
75%, one's 100, so,
Right,
yeah.
but the disability policy would still kick in on day 6. Day 1 through 5, you've got to figure out, right? There's a 5-day...
There's
I thought that's
a
what you said.
5-day period, yeah.
Yeah, so you could have 10 sick days, but you only got to use 5 because then that policy kicks in.
Right.
So that leaves 5 in there. But
Right.
given the whole COVID thing that's going on now, you're still supposed to self-isolate. So what are you going to do, save your entire bank just to deal with that issue? So I mean, if I was to change this, I would change it to, it could be accumulative up to a maximum of double, up to a maximum of 10 days. Because otherwise, that first year, when you got your Friday, oh, I'm going to lose these, so you know what? I'm going to call off every Friday for the rest of the month. Where's my incentive? I'm going to lose it, I'm going to get 5 more days. Versus, well, I can accumulate up to 10 now. So you know what? I might, I've got 3 kids, someone's going to get sick, I'm going to have to take a sick day. So I'd rather bank a little bit more, because unless I personally get hurt, and it's not workers' comp
Keep
related.
coughing.
You know what I mean? And I think that's a cheap, inexpensive enhancement to give. Because again, those that are gonna burn them are just gonna burn them anyways, but that's your 20%. 80% of your employees are gonna be like, I'd rather have that in the bank. I'd rather take the 2 years to get up to my 10 days, and I'm probably gonna have 1 or 2 sick days, so it might take me 3 years to max out, and then maybe I'll use a couple, but I like that comfort feeling of having that 10-day reserve sitting there. I mean, it's what we do. I mean, you get 10 days, you accumulate up 10. Once you hit 10, you stop accumulating. As soon as you use a day, you start accumulating again. And it's all automated through the payroll system. 10 sick days, 1 PTO day for every year of service up to 5 years, and then you got your vacation weeks that flow in there. And then once you max. You just sit there like on the PTO. You sit there until you actually use a day. And like for us, and this would be way too complicated for you guys, unless you do it through payroll, is that like sick time is not meant to be, I'm 15 minutes late for work. Now, if you're 15 minutes late for work because you had a doctor's appointment, or you had to leave early to go to a doctor's appointment, you could use sick time for that. PTO time you can use in PTO time is in 30-minute increments. Vacation days have to be in half-day increments. So the employees can't use those buckets because, well, I overslept by 20 minutes and came into work. No, you're getting doctor pay. These are vacation and PTO are supposed to be planned events. Sick is truly sick.
Our sick time has to be in 2-hour increments.
Yeah.
Well, it's supposed to be, but.
So I would suggest that we make it accumulative, and sick leave may accumulate from year to year to a maximum of 10 days. No objections?
So I guess I would just like to clarify with Harper's that they can do that automatically.
Yep.
Because I don't want to make more manual work for
What I
myself.
would, what I
All
would
you do
do,
is you just have to look at what everyone's balances are at the end of June.
Right. So
And
it's
if
the same
someone
thing
has, well, the first year, it's not gonna matter, because even if they didn't use any, then they have 5 days and you load another 5 days.
So it's the same thing with vacation.
Right.
I know, but it's just doing more. like,
so I don't, I
more
mean, you
manual,
take the
like-
changes we're proposing, scan this over
Maybe
to
I'll feel
Harper's.
better about it if I had trained like staff and I wasn't doing, you know, I'm still doing a lot of both positions and
Hey,
I'm
I
just
saw the
like
email. You had
a
time to go
little-
take a test.
I
But-
don't know, I'm just not looking to more, you know.
Well, would it ease your mind though, if, I mean, if you took the change and just faxed it, scanned it to Harper's and said, can the system automatically do this, yes or no?
It
And if
should
they-
be
if
able
they
to,
s-
right?
I agree, but if for your peace of mind, you want to hear from them first.
I just feel like the reason for getting new software is to take advantage of the fact that it's automated and to stop doing things manually.
Right, so
You know,
I would
to
say like
save time,
the sick leave,
right?
I wouldn't be front loading that. I mean, when you go live, it's what do you got in your bank? You plug it in, and then you just start the accruals. Because as they use it and charge off, it's gonna come down and go back up, and when they hit the
I'm
max,
sure Harper's can put a max on it, so
Correct.
it stops at 10 and then,
Yep.
right?
yep.
So are we adding a note of 90-day probationary period has to be completed before sick leave is granted? Do you want to do that?
I'm okay with that. I mean, if you got somebody that has the flu
I mean,
and
just
you
to-
want them in your office in the first 90 days,
No, I don't, but
but,
are we going to be consistent, or are we,
so vacation and PTO to me is planned, sick is unplanned. So that's where I draw the difference. If somebody is calling out sick because they went out partying last night too much, then, you know what, you want to know that. But if they truly have the flu in that first 90 days, don't you want them to just stay home?
so we don't want to penalize them on
For
a 90-day
sick.
probation? Okay.
That's just my feedback.
Oh.
I'm happy to whatever the
Wait, we're
committee wants to
saying, oh,
do.
you're saying that they can use sick time during the 90
For
days?
legitimate.
At the
Yes,
department
if
head's
it's a
discretion.
legitimate illness.
Do you want them coming in if they're puking?
Yeah, I have no
Because
issue.
they have the flu? I mean, I know you can shut your door, but you have other staff that are gonna sit with them. That's what I'm saying. Vacation PTO is planned. No, you can't use that during your 90 days. If you truly are sick, right, and they call you and you hear them hurling, wouldn't you rather just say, you take the day? Or would you say, take the day unpaid?
I'm just looking at, so they can earn up to 2 days during the first 3 months. Just looking at, I don't know, whatever, I mean,
You're concerned that someone's going to take advantage of it?
no, I just, I don't know, I just
About
normally
10
think
days
that
before.
any place I worked, you, like for myself, you weren't allowed to use it in your first 90 days, but, I mean, but, I don't, that's fine.
I'm happy to go either way, however the group wants to go. So we got an insert. Robin, what's your
Do it.
vote? In or out?
I don't care either way either.
That's fine. David?
Leave it how it was.
Leave it out, okay. Donna,
I was, okay.
Wait,
you're on the fence too? So we got one in, one out, two fences.
wait a minute. So David, you're saying no probation? for
Right,
sick?
because it's absent right
Yeah,
now.
I kind of agree with that. Kind of stinks.
I haven't ever allowed my employees to use time off during their 90 days. I haven't.
I mean,
I'd like to know who you worked for before you became a
Because it
boss.
wasn't
Because
clarified
they
in the
must have been
policy. That's why we need to
Well-
clarify it.
Yeah, because I just assumed probationary period meant, you know, you couldn't, I don't know. You guys don't allow it, right? Or you do?
I think ours is at the,
Or discretion?
For sick time only.
I can't remember exactly how the policy reads, but yes, I think so.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Ed, do you want to weigh in or no? Do you want to have compassion and allow it, or say, no, they're coming to work?
Me, the pain?
Compassion.
I'm sensing we're split here. No comment from Ed. Get that in the minutes.
I would say at the discretion of
I would,
the department head.
before COVID, I'd say no.
Yeah.
With COVID, it's like, but on the flip side of that is, okay, they're only gonna accrue 2 days.
1 or
They gotta
2 days,
self-isolate
yeah.
for 5. The math still doesn't work, so.
I'm fine
I mean,
either way.
I mean, if you allow it, does it now take the fact that I can't use PTO or, you know, whether you say PTO or personal or sick time, or not sick time, but vacation time in that 90 days and saying, I want to hit the golf course tomorrow. I got a
Right.
great offer to go play, great horse.
Hope we don't find
I'm
out.
sick.
Again, 80-20. I think 80% of the people are going to do the right thing. And the 20% that aren't, hopefully you find out within the 90 days something else and you transfer them to South Hadley. Okay, so
Okay.
so we'll leave it out, the probationary piece, but we'll allow accumulation up to a maximum of 10 days? Done. Okay, personal days.
I'm gonna let you guys decide these.
So, are you leaving?
I'm leaving, I'm tired.
Okay. Suggested to specify if 90-day probation period. I would say yes on this one, because it's personal time.
Right.
And then can you carry over personal time if employee is unable to use during probationary period? Yeah, put in something like a one-time exception shall be granted.
Bye-bye.
So, April, May, or June, if you're hired in April, May, or June, you don't have the ability to use your personal time because you gotta get off probation. So therefore, whatever you would have earned during those 3 months,
But personal time is usually giving at every July 1st, so
it's not prorated if they come in December?
No, you automatically get 2 days.
at the
When you start.
commencement of each fiscal year, July 1st, full-time employees should be granted 2 personal days per fiscal year.
Okay, then we just say you can't use it during probationary period and be silent about the carryover.
Right, because that's what that's saying, that you don't get it till July 1st, right?
Yep.
So I'm gonna keep it that way.
Because if you came in May, technically your probationary period would end in August. But you would still get the 2 days on that July. You just wouldn't be able to use it during that last 30 days of your 90-day
Right,
probation.
right.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
So no use in the no carrying over personal time.
Right.
Okay.
We want to update the current PCF.
Yeah, just put the new one here, new one, and the old forms in there.
So it's
It's
just
just
the new one
changing it out,
as is?
yeah.
As is, okay.
Yeah, the old one is in there, yeah.
That works for me, and everything's X's, there's no circles for Ed.
Yeah. Well, there is a circle on the top, but we don't query check. We don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was stated the
Some
article
people.
time, when it got updated, it was much better, so.
Remove pages 75, 76, 77.
Yeah, so that personnel separation questionnaire, we received one maybe over the last
I use
15
this
years.
once.
You use it?
I used it one time.
Oh,
Do we want to keep it in there? Or,
It doesn't matter.
does it need to be part of the rules and regulation?
I don't know. Probably not.
How many have been done, you said?
I don't know if anyone has ever used it.
Well, just a thought,
yep.
and I should probably use it more than I do too, because I know it exists. But if we wanted to utilize it, and there are definitely some, shall we say, good points to it if someone's got, you know, keys, a laptop, or whatever, because it always reminds you of that, is, do we think about updating the PCF form and in that, of course, it's already filling a page. In the case of, do we put a note on there in case of, retirement, separation, or whatever, the separation form should also come along with that PCF.
So we're talking two different things. One is a personal separation form, which is in here, and there's a personal separation questionnaire.
Oh.
But you're right, Ed, that
That says-
personal
but-
separation form should be required with the PCF. That would be really good, because most departments don't even, a lot of them don't even do it. You know, like, I know fire doesn't do them right now, so they should do them to make sure they're receiving their radios back,
Yeah.
and their equipment, whatnot. Keys, if they have keys to the fire department. I don't even think police does it, but it would just be nice to.
Tablets, keys,
And it
phones.
spells out on it too, like how much they're
Gas
owed for
cards.
health insurance, or if they were mailed Cobra or not, like, I think it's good for everyone to do that form.
So maybe that's something that could be brought up at a department head meeting to make sure they're using it and attach it. Really?
Yeah, I mean,
Friendly reminder, we have this form that needs to be
Lots of
used
friendly
when
reminders. I didn't-
there's a separation.
I don't know what's the friendly reminders.
So as for the personal separation questionnaire,
Pull it.
thank you.
I'm good with pull it.
Good with it?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
You can pull it.
And then the National Position Evaluation Plan, we don't use that
that
anymore.
Is that,
That's the old
This is our
scoring
actually-
mechanism.
our actual classification plan, right?
It's,
That the Collins is going to replace.
The Collins is gonna replace it.
Yep.
okay.
Okay, then that consists of fire chief posting position update. So that is I think that's a verbal, right?
Yeah, I don't have
Yeah.
anything in there, you
Okay.
asked me to.
So on the fire chief, we engaged CPA? Paragus? We've engaged.
That's the town administrator.
Oh, fire chief, we have done that. So fire chief, the select board has approved a summary as well as the overall job description for posting purposes. And we're going to do we need to fill out a PCF to come forward with that.
PR.
PRF for it. But the select board is moving away from having a committee to do it, and we're going to look to engage an assessment center that specializes in identifying and hiring fire chiefs to come forward and give us 2 or 3 candidates for the job based on the job description and which also references the Chief Anderson report for the fire department. So the next steps is, as the liaison for the select board, I'm going to send out to 3 or 4 different assessment centers, show them what we have, and then ask them to put together a package to come back to us on, which then will come in as a group to PPP to approve and move forward with. That's that one. The town administrator's position, which I believe we have before us as a late file.
Yeah,
right,
let's separate, yep.
is,
So this is separate account.
so a request for a start date of 1/1/2024, and the pay scale is between 75 and 98,100. That's the budget. We are going to, the select board is engaged Community Paragram and Associates to do this work of the screening committee. So they have generated the ads and they have our old job description. They're going to modify it, but they're going to modify it partially after the community forum, which is next week, for public input. And did they already send out, or am I confusing them with the Collins? Did they already send out requests to department heads for feedback?
They
Yeah.
did, yeah.
So they're soliciting all the feedback from the listening sessions, from the department heads, and then we'll have the community forum input. They're going to do one-on-ones with each select board member to get their feedback, and then that will generate a ultimate job description, job posting that the select board will bless off on. And then once we do that, that will be, I don't know if it needs to come up here to be, well, because we kind of have the job description here. But this is the old job description that was used, right? Yeah, so
That's
this
the
will be
current
tweaked.
approved one, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, so I would say, for those of you, the department heads, get the feedback in there, and everybody else can participate in the public session. And we'll go forward there. They're gonna do the screening in private, and they're gonna come forward with anywhere between 1 and 3 candidates, at which time, one of the sensitive things here, and it's the same thing on the fire chief side, is if we have our screening, because these 2 positions are select board appointments. If the select board, as its whole, participates and says, we're gonna do the screening and all that, that's an open meeting. We can't do it confidentially, which means that even to be considered for the job, you have to make your name public, which we think will limit our pool, because some people, unless they think they're 1 or 2, they have a 50-50 chance of getting the job, they don't necessarily want their current town where they're working to know that they're applying. So we're using the search committee to do that, and then we'll get involved when they get down to the finalists based on all the feedback and who they recommend. I mean, they've selected over 300 town administrators in the past, 10 years or so. So they have a good reputation to it. They know the pool, they know who's out there, and that. And our next meeting that we have with them, we also challenged them with, this is the money, this is the budget we put in for it. You need to tell us, do you think this is going to be high, low, mid, right or wrong? And then we'll adjust accordingly if we can. Is there questions on that?
No, so we don't need to do anything with this at this point in time? Or as a formality, do you want us to pass this?
I think it's all gonna, probably as a formality, I would say we approve it, because I think that the job posting and all that is just gonna happen. And I don't necessarily think we're gonna have an opportunity to come back unless we wanna hold a special meeting to look at it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I generated it because it's they're different processes and whatever, and I wanted to go through the process just so.
We have it, it's our file, we've had a
Select board obviously
conversation.
knows about it, but it's like, okay, hopefully, sign off on it and move forward, and the last thing I wanted is, 60 days from now of everybody going, well, you didn't come through with a, PRF through the normal process or whatever, but because the search company actually generates
It's different than how we normally do
the profile and does the ads and everything, it's a bit different.
So I would say, unless, today's the 1st, unless there's an objection, that we just formally take a vote to approve it within those ranges.
I'll motion to approve the PCF for the town administrator.
Second discussion? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and I believe that finishes everything we have, right? All the old business is on hold? Regarding the EMTs and that's on hold, waiting for more stuff from...
No, so that was, yes, so we sent back the PCFs until they had their medical card, their medical control card. Because as the fire wages go, they don't get an increase until they get that card.
Okay, and as of right now, we have no notification that they received their card yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so we'll leave those on hold.
He left it as soon, he expressed soon. so
Right.
He'll have to resubmit them.
Okay. All right, then in that case, unless something urgent comes up, our next meeting will be October 19th. And then, just give you a heads up, I'll look for somebody to volunteer to do our quarterly presentation in December at the Select Board. Usually it's our newest member, but if somebody else wants to jump in. I will take a motion to adjourn at 8:20 PM.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.